How do legal debates shape IHL Precaution Doctrine? Have you ever wondered how legal discussions influence the rules of war, especially regarding the protection of civilians? Today, we will look at how these debates shape the precaution doctrine under international humanitarian law. This is particularly important when considering the feasibility of precautions, the conduct of hostilities, and the methods of warfare. Legal debates are essential in defining and interpreting the precautionary measures required in armed conflicts. These discussions help clarify how principles like distinction, proportionality, and precaution are understood and applied. The goal is to protect civilians during warfare. International humanitarian law mandates that all parties in a conflict must take feasible precautions to avoid or minimize harm to civilians and civilian objects. This applies when planning and executing attacks. Attackers must assess the presence of civilians and choose methods of warfare that reduce risks. If the expected civilian harm is excessive compared to the military advantage, they must adjust or cancel the attack. Defenders also have responsibilities to protect civilians, like avoiding placing military targets near civilian areas. Legal debates play a crucial role in shaping this doctrine by clarifying key concepts. First, discussions focus on the feasibility of precautions. What measures are realistically possible given the circumstances, military necessity, and available technology? This directly impacts the obligations of attackers and defenders to take precautionary steps. Next, the interpretation of distinction and proportionality is refined through these debates. How do we differentiate between military targets and civilians? How do we evaluate if civilian harm is excessive compared to military gain? These interpretations guide commanders, decision-making, and legal assessments of attacks. Another important aspect is the assessment of information and timing. Legal discussions emphasize that commanders must conduct thorough pre-attack evaluations based on the information available at that moment. This ensures that precautions are grounded in the realities of the battlefield, not in hindsight. The means and methods of warfare are also part of these debates. Choices of weapons and tactics that minimize civilian harm are discussed, reinforcing the obligation to select options that reduce the risk of excessive collateral damage. Through these ongoing legal debates, the precaution doctrine evolves. It seeks to balance military necessity with humanitarian concerns, reinforcing protections for civilians as outlined in the Geneva Conventions and additional protocols. This legal analysis clarifies commanders' duties and informs military training and operational planning. In practical terms, the doctrine shaped by legal debates requires attackers to continually update target information and reassess attacks if circumstances change. Defenders must take feasible protective measures for civilians, such as evacuating them or moving military assets away from civilian areas. Continuous evaluation of proportionality and feasibility of precautions during hostilities is essential to prevent unnecessary suffering. Legal debates ensure that precautionary obligations under international humanitarian law remains relevant and effective in protecting civilians amid the complexities of modern warfare.